Part 8. I Can Break the Dimensional Wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 71. Chun slowly approached the human mask fruit tree. When she got close, she realized how strong this tree is. It is a big tree that can only be embraced by 4 or 5 people. The human mask fruit tree should be a monster, but Tsubaki couldn't feel a trace of monster, as if the tree was just like an ordinary tree. Tsubaki sensed something was wrong. She had been paying attention to the human mask fruit tree during the battle, but what she didn't expect was that the human mask fruit tree didn't respond until she killed the pig demon. Could it be said that the human face fruit tree has no self-awareness, just a tree? This is unlikely, as documented. Didn't he expect his curse to be so strong? Chun always felt a little uneasy. The evil spirit she felt at the foot of the mountain disappeared as soon as she came up, and the pig demon did not have the evil spirit that made her feel dangerous. Chun looked vigilantly at the human mask fruit tree, and at the same time pulled out a few paper figurines, planning to attack first. But when Chun's attention was all on the human-faced fruit tree, a few vines slowly drilled under the ground under Chun's feet, and then drilled under the pig demon's corpse. He came out and wrapped up the pig demon's body. Human face fruit tree, are you here to save me? Feeling the vines hovering around his body, the dead pig demon actually spoke. Hearing the pig demon's words, a voice came from the vine, but the tone was a little surprised. You're not dead yet? The curse of the burst of spiritual power, you can live until now. It looks like your body is really good. Your potential is quite high. I'm just pretending to be dead, but I can't last long, give me a face, or I'm going to die. The pig demon's tone was a little hasty, and there was an inexplicable panic. It originally thought that it had become so strong that it was already invincible, but it didn't expect to be defeated so easily by a witch. As long as it doesn't die this time, it must be as cautious as it was when it was a little monster before, and it will not provoke powerful enemies. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect you to still retain the habit of weak monsters pretending to be dead, but it's useless. What do you think your role is? I ate so many fruits for you, and you are so fat by me, so you should also have it. Come to your senses, you are just nourishment. Human face fruit tree, what are you talking about? The pig demon's tone was a little flustered. Your body is already mine. A thick vine penetrated into the pig demon's mouth and penetrated its body. The vines spread out and grew thorns, piercing into the pig demon's body, sucking the pig demon's blood, but the branches also spread out in the pig demon's body, merging with each other. After cultivating you for so long, it's time to harvest. Like a fruit, you have matured. Within a few seconds, cracks appeared on the pig demon's body, and branches appeared from the cracks. The branches gradually became multi-sided and long, and wrapped around the pig demon's body. This body is mine now. The pig demon's strength is not strong, but the demonic power contained in its body is extremely huge, but it can't use it. Now, all the huge demonic power in its body has been recovered by the human face fruit tree, and even its body has been occupied. I finally have a body that can move, ha ha ha, a mere witch wants to kill me too. The human face fruit tree laughed loudly. A powerful evil spirit appeared behind Chun, and when Chun turned her head, she found that the corpse of the pig demon just now had disappeared. Instead, it had a body as huge as the pig demon, a monster completely wrapped in vines, and the demonic aura on this monster was several times stronger than the previous pig demon. Looking at this scene, Tsubaki probably guessed what was going on. You are the human face fruit tree. I didn't expect the witch who came to be so strong, but unfortunately, I have already evolved, so go to hell. The vine monster waved his hand. Dozens of vines drilled out from the ground under Tsubaki's feet, forming a cage in an instant, trying to bind Tsubaki, but Tsubaki's Shikigami spit out a long spear from the mouth of Tsubaki. All were smashed. A long spear containing spiritual power can directly smash the vines. Kikyo's weapon is a bow, while Tsubaki's weapon is a spear, but she usually doesn't use it. Seeing that its attack was useless, the vine monster didn't care, and even laughed. Snort. Dozens of vines appeared again, but before Tsubaki could defend, flowers suddenly grew on those vines, and at the same time, a large amount of poisonous smoke was emitted from those flowers, and the purple poisonous smoke flooded the location where Tsubaki was just now. Chun quickly escaped from the poisonous smoke, but the poisonous smoke just now was so sudden that she accidentally inhaled it. Ahem. Oops. The moment he inhaled the poisonous smoke, Tsubaki felt a little dizzy, and at the same time his body strength also became somewhat weaker. It was this slight reaction that slowed down, and a fist made of vines came over, knocking Chun out. Boom. Puff. Chun was thrown into the air by a huge force, and she couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood, which stained her lips red, and her face also turned pale, as if she had been injured by the heavy blow just now. Sure enough, it is a human being. There are too many things to be afraid of for a fragile body. Isn't the gift I prepared a surprise? The human mask fruit tree has lived for so many years, and has practiced countless times in its mind how to fight humans. It has also been deployed for a long time by using its own ability, and finally, it has a day to display it. Which, go to hell. Just in case, it stretched out its hand, and dozens of vines pierced towards Chun again. Looking at the vines slowly approaching, Tsubaki couldn't help but close her eyes. The toxin had already begun to take effect, and her body was already unable to move. Are you going to die? That's right, as a shrine maiden, she died on the way to eliminate demons. It's too normal to end up like this. I don't know how many shrine maidens are eaten by monsters every year. It's not surprising that I died like this. It is the destiny of a shrine maiden to fight monsters until she dies. Chun slowly closed his eyes, but as soon as he closed his eyes, the thought of dying disappeared, replaced by a familiar figure and his voice. When I died, did I think of him? Forget it, we won't be able to meet again anyway, but fortunately, we didn't bring him up, as long as he's still alive. Thinking of this, Tsubaki suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, and the shadow of his imminent death dissipated a lot. That guy probably won't be able to climb up. Tsubaki's ears seemed to hear that guy's voice again. Miss Chun. Are you hallucinating? Very real voice. After waiting for 3 or 4 seconds, the monster's attack did not arrive, and Tsubaki opened his eyes with some doubts. What appeared in front of him were fragments of vines flying all over the sky, and the back of Syaruo who kept swinging his knife. Miss Chun, I'm here to save you. Meow. The cat with a flying broom next to it barked, showing its presence. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Waiju Meow. Chapter 72. When Syaruo was grilling fish before, she was a little bit short of an upgrade. It may be that the snake demon in the chapter of the fog demon had a good figure and face. After so many days, it attracted many new audiences and gained a lot of reputation. However, the level is still stuck at LV1, 990/1000, and it is only 10 points away from leveling up to LV2. From LV0 to LV1 is a big improvement. I believe the same is true from LV1 to LV2. The level improvement is an all-round improvement, and it really has the ability to fight monsters. In order to get the prestige upgrade as soon as possible, Syaruo changed the time flow of the real world and the fantasy world before, making the time flow reverse each other and speeding up the growth of prestige. Finally, when the prestige was enough, when she flew to the top of the mountain, Syaruo successfully upgraded to LV2. Ding! Congratulations to the successful upgrade of the host. Syaruo, LV2, 0/10,000. All attributes of the host's body are improved. The only talent upgrade, Body of Reality LV2. Activate the only talent, The power of reality LV1. Body of reality LV2, you who come from the real world are different, and you with a body of reality can reduce the attack damage caused by a small part of the fantasy world. Power of reality LV1, break the illusion. When Xiaoruo and Tom flew to the top of the mountain, he saw Chun being covered in poisonous fog and then being knocked into the air. As expected, Chun overturned the car, exactly as Xiaoruo thought. Seeing that Chun was in danger, Xiaoruo jumped down without thinking. Just when the vines attacked, Xiaoruo waved the knife in her hand and cut off all the vines that were about to attack Chun. What's the matter with you? After seeing Xiaoruo, Chun's eyes widened slightly, as if he didn't expect Xiaoruo to come here. When he was obviously desperate, the person he was thinking of suddenly appeared in front of him. This kind of shock is a very indescribable feeling. Probably the feeling of a miracle coming, the world wants to fulfill its last wish. Familiar figures, familiar voices, perhaps only when dying, under the stimulation of death, will you understand your true emotions. Tsubaki bit her lower lip with her teeth, propped her body up with her hands, her voice was trembling, and she asked the question she wanted to ask. Are you going to die with me? Ah! Xiaoruo was stunned for a moment, then looked back at Chun's pale face, and couldn't help but said, I didn't come here to die with you, I came to save you. You are no match for the human face fruit tree, come and save me, you will die. Tsubaki's voice was very soft because of the poisoning, and her voice had never been so weak. Xiaoruo didn't know where the camera was, but she still showed a confident and gentle smile towards Chun. Xiaoruo's voice was still the same as usual, but there was a hint of determination in her tone. Didn't I just say it at the foot of the mountain? I will protect you. Bang, bang, bang. Hearing these words, Tsubaki felt her heart beat faster. Even after being poisoned, she still felt the changes in her body, that is, her mind became very chaotic, and her brain felt light. She obviously didn't feel this kind of feeling when she was about to die, that strange feeling. She put her right hand on her chest, feeling her own heartbeat. Weird, but not annoying. It's that feeling again. Protect me? Obviously, I was your guard along the way. Forget it, we're all going to die anyway, so it's useless to think so much. It's fine to die like this. Tsubaki lowered her head and muttered to herself. However, the story of Chun and Xiaoruo did not end as Chun imagined, and the vines of the human face fruit tree did not tear her and Xiaoruo apart. After seeing that his attack was blocked by a human who appeared suddenly, the human face fruit tree immediately cast more vines, and dozens of vines rushed towards Chun's direction overwhelmingly. This time, it invested more monster power. Each vine has the thickness of a thigh. Unexpectedly, the human continued to swing the knife, and the flexible swordsmanship chopped all the nearby vines. Although it seemed difficult, it was blocked like this. How can it be? Seeing this scene, not only the tree demon was surprised, but also Tsubaki. What Chun cared about was not Xiaoruo's superb swordsmanship, but the knife in his hand. The vines attacked by the human face fruit tree are all infused with demon power, which is equivalent to its body, and its toughness is several times that of ordinary vines. A broken human knife, without the blessing of spiritual power, is absolutely impossible to cut through the vines of monsters, but after spending so many days with Xiaoruo, Chun and Xiaoruo naturally knew that it was just an ordinary weapon. Maybe cutting a stone would break the knife, but now in Xiaoruo's hands, cutting the monster's vines with the knife is like cutting vegetables. Why is this happening? Chun Mingming couldn't feel the fluctuation of spiritual power in Xiaoruo's body. What the hell is this? As if it was an illusion, Chun saw a gust of white energy surging from Xiaoruo's body. That white air enveloped Xiaoruo, and then slowly concentrated on the knife in his hand. Just in the blink of an eye, the white tune was no longer visible, as if she was just dazzled just now. Xiaoruo was attacked by the human-faced fruit tree, and he kept resisting, and the knife in his hand was getting faster and faster. Slowly, he had become familiar with his enhanced power, and a large number of vines were cut off by Sioruo. But the monster is still a monster after all. The opponent's attacks are too many, too fast. Even if Sioruo's physical fitness has been improved again, some attacks are still unstoppable. A vine passed through Sioruo's defense, and Sioruo was blown away. With a bang, Sioruo was slammed into the side stone wall. Boom! The power of the vine's whip was so powerful that Sioruo smashed a crack in the stone wall behind him, and even embedded his head in the stone. Sioruo! Chun cried out worriedly, but she didn't realize that this was the first time she called Sioruo's name. Humph, human beings are human beings. I was shocked when they fell from the sky just now. When the human face fruit tree saw that the human with the knife was blown away, it subconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, after so many years of fighting, it was really afraid of encountering some powerful and ruthless characters. Which, don't bark, you go down with him too, I'll take you on the road together, so you can have a companion on the road. The human mask fruit tree smiled, stretched out its hand, and a vine shot out quickly, aiming at Chun. If Chun was hit, his body would definitely be pierced. However, the accident still appeared. Swish! A white light flashed, and Sioruo appeared in front of Chun again, and cut off the vine with a single knife. Sioruo's breathing was a little short, as if he had suffered some injuries, but his body was still straight. There was still blood on his forehead. Sioruo still stood in front of Chun resolutely, the long knife in his hand pointed at the human face fruit tree, like a wall, blocking all dangers. If you want to hurt her, beat me first. The lines are in the second class, but this is the second dimension after all. In order to serve the audience, Sioruo comforted herself so much that she had to show a serious expression on her face. He stayed because he thought he could beat him, otherwise Tom would have taken him and Chunfei away long ago. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 73. Sioruo was in pain from being hit, her whole body ached and her head was bleeding. Just now his head was hit by a rock, but he just felt that the pain was already very good, at least it didn't affect his movement, and his forehead was only scratched a little. It seems that the body of reality LV2 is much stronger than before. Sioruo used to think that this talent was easy to use. To put it another way, Xiaoqiang, who can't be beaten to death, is simply a must-have talent for the protagonist. Without this ability, it would be too embarrassing to go to the second dimension to shoot a movie by yourself, and when you appear as the protagonist, you will be tricked by a little monster in seconds. With no face, let yourself debut as a comedian? Sioruo can't afford to lose that person. He had fantasized before that the fastest way to earn popularity and prestige was to crush him with one punch. If he couldn't do it, he could only be like the protagonist in the hot-blooded animation, who was knocked down countless times, and then stood up countless times, roared a few times. Even if he is beaten badly, as long as he can stand up and speak out, he is still a good man. Maybe even the screen is full of bullet screens full of burning tears and tears of tears. Big rise. The routine is old-fashioned, but it works. The blood on his head was still flowing, but Sioruo didn't wipe it off. He clenched the long knife in his hands and stared directly at the tree demon in front of him. Sioruo knew that this should be the first battle he was about to face. The vines of the human face fruit tree kept wriggling, as if they were suppressing, waiting to erupt. Go to hell, human. This time there are more vines, dozens of hundreds of vines rushing towards Sioruo, like a storm. Sioruo quickly defended, and possessed the power of reality. Sioruo blessed the mysterious power in his hands on the knife, it can easily cut off the vines. The scene of the battle at this time is that the storm of vines hits the defensive sword net formed by Sioruo's sword. With the constant swinging of the sword, Sioruo's swordsmanship has also become more proficient, and the control of power has also become stronger, but there are still many vine attacks that cannot be blocked. Snapped! 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 The neglected vines kept lashing at Sioruo's body, leaving streaks of blood on Sioruo's body, and the clothes he was wearing gradually became tattered. Pain. It hurts. It's like being slapped on the palm by a teacher at school. Sioruo gritted her teeth and held it stiffly, not taking a step back because of the fierce attack. The sound of vines hitting Sioruo's body made the scene even more heroic. Behind Sioruo, Chun, who was protected by Sioruo, was not attacked at all. Just looking at the back that has been standing in front of him, Tsubaki's face was expressionless, his eyes were a little red, and his teeth were biting his lips. The fight went on like this for a minute. Sioruo couldn't hold it anymore, the other party attacked too much, even if his physical strength increased a lot, he would still be exhausted. If he was just defending, he couldn't do anything against the tree demon. Tom, it's up to you, take Chun away. Meow. Tom responded, and it watched the scene for a long time. It wasn't that Tom couldn't help just now, but that Tom was unexpectedly smart and was able to match his master's brain waves. It felt even more that the master just didn't need him. If you help rashly, the owner may be angry. So it just watched the show by the side while waiting for the owner's instructions. Sure enough, the master still thought of it when he couldn't hold on. Tom rode a broom and pulled Chun away behind Sioruo. It was very unscientific. A kitten pulled up a human with its paws. Tom took Chun to a place where the human-faced fruit tree could not be attacked. But when he was taken away by Tom, Tsubaki still looked worriedly at Sioruo's position. Without Chun to take care of, Sioruo let go. After cutting off the vines, he began to charge towards the human-faced fruit tree. The blessing of his physical fitness allowed Sioruo to perform many superhuman movements. The Dryad's vines were unable to stop him. Human, try this. The human mask fruit tree watched Sioruo rush towards him without panicking at all. The vines that attacked Sioruo grew flowers again, and dozens of flowers sprayed out poisonous mist, forming a purple poisonous mist area that instantly enveloped Sioruo's body. Just now Chun accidentally got tricked because of this poisonous mist. Many professional demon exterminators have professional antivirus masks. Experienced ones can hold their breath instantly when encountering poisonous mist, but the poisonous mist of tree demon is different. The skin, otherwise Tsubaki would not have been recruited so quickly. That human probably couldn't hold it anymore. Da-da-da. The poisonous mist enveloped Sioruo, but the footsteps inside still did not stop. In just 2 seconds, Sioruo rushed out of the poisonous mist. The human face fruit tree was surprised to see that human being rushed out of the poisonous mist, and the vines all over him kept trembling, as if they were too shocked or fearful. How is this possible? Does this human skin also have protection? In fact, Sioruo's skin is really protected. With Sioruo's realistic protection, the weak damage of the poisonous mist has already been immune to Sioruo's body before it penetrates into her body. How can this be? The human face fruit tree let out a desperate roar. It occupied the body of the pig demon and gained its demon power, but it also inherited its slow-moving speed. It was impossible to escape. No matter how many vines there were, if it was cut off, it would be powerless to stop Sioruo. Impossible, impossible, my body is invincible, my body is dozens of times harder than vines, his broken knife can't hurt me. The human face fruit tree comforted itself like this, looking at Sioruo who had already rushed in front of him, the vines all over his body turned into a shield, defending his huge body. You can't hurt me. Sioruo, who rushed in front of the human mask fruit tree, was expressionless, ready for a slashing movement, aimed at the demon body of the human mask fruit tree, and said softly. Cut off fantasy? No. Swish. A knife flashed, and in the horrified eyes of the human-faced fruit tree, Syaruo cut its steel-like monster body directly with a knife. It was just such a thick body, but Syaruo didn't cut it in half with a knife. Swish. Swish. Syaruo made a few more cuts, completely separating the demon body of the human mask fruit tree, completely cutting off its illusions. I just died like this, killed by humans. Obviously I have been, for so many years. The human mask fruit tree has not died yet, and its tone is a little low and unwilling. Swish. Seeing that it wasn't dead, Syaruo made another cut. The dead tree spirit still wants to have a memory kill? You are too weak. Apart from poison, your attack, defense, and speed are not good at all. You are just a little monster, Syaruo said, shaking her head. Following Syaruo's words, the demon body of the human mask fruit tree slowly turned into ashes, which drifted into the air with the wind. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 74. After the monster was killed, Syaruo also breathed a sigh of relief. The battle just now kept his nerves tense, and now he finally relaxed. As soon as his spirit relaxed, Syaruo immediately felt the pain in his body. Just now, some swordsmanship movements were still too large, and the high-intensity exercise also made his body a little tired. After all, he was still human. Finally one, yes, and that guy's body. Although the dryad has been wiped out, the part that has been wiped out is that it uses vines to occupy the part of the pig demon's body, and the body of the human face fruit tree, that is, its body is still on the edge of the cliff. Maybe it's not dead yet, so it's best to deal with its body as well. Syaruo thought about it, and slowly walked under the body of the human mask fruit tree. At this time, the human mask fruit tree has completely changed its appearance. The branches that were originally lush and leafy are all withered, and there is no leaf on the book. It's all gone, and it looks like the tree is dead. But Syaruo didn't think so. The human-faced fruit tree in the original book just fell into a deep sleep for some reason, and then because of a coincidence, it got the power of the jade fragments of the four souls, and woke up with the help of this power, and made waves after waking up. A tree with such a strong vitality seems to be dead. Maybe it still has a breath, and maybe it has fallen into a deep sleep. This evil cannot remain. Without saying a word, Syaruo directly picked up the knife and chopped down the tree. With the blessing of the power of reality, Syaruo chopped down the human mask fruit tree after a few cuts, but after cutting it down, he found that there was something like a fruit core exposed inside the human mask fruit tree come out, and that pit is still emitting a faint green light. I knew you still had a hand. Syaruo reached out and took out the fruit core. It was really like a normal fruit core, the size of a fist, emitting a faint green light. If this abnormal green light appeared in the real world, Syaruo would. I'm a little concerned about radiation or something. What is this? The seed of the human face fruit tree? Syaruo didn't know the function of this thing, but he also knew that it was not an ordinary thing, so he temporarily packed it in a bag and put it in his own space. Let's burn the tree first. The dead leaves on the ground happen to be very good ignition materials. Syaruo ignited the dead leaves on the ground. Slowly, the fire started. It may be because the tree was dead. It burned very fast, and the fire quickly spread to the whole tree. Looking at the burning human face fruit tree, Syaruo circled around a few more times, and saw that it was really quiet, so Syaruo left. Duosh's body was beheaded, the core was taken, the main body was cut, and then the remnant body was burned. Syaruo felt that even if it was given a complete jade of four souls, it might not be able to survive. After finally dealing with the monster, Syaruo immediately found Tom and Chun, but now Chun's condition is still not very good. She is leaning against a stone, looking very weak. Meow. When Tom saw Syaruo coming, he rolled aside. Miss Chun, How are you? Xiaoruo directly ignored Tom, and asked Chun with concern. At this moment, Chun's face was still a little pale. Not only was she poisoned just now, but she was hit by a human face fruit tree because she was unable to move after being poisoned. It is estimated that the injury was more serious than Xiaoruo imagined. I'm fine, Chun shook his head. After you killed the human face fruit tree, the demon poison condensed with demon power has almost dissipated. With my spiritual power, it will probably be completely eliminated tomorrow, and I also took medicine, and now there is nothing wrong with my body. Xiaoruo frowned. Ming Chun's voice didn't have any strength, and it didn't look like there was any problem. She was still trying to be brave. But Tsubaki is exactly that kind of person. Maybe the demon poison still remains, but since Chun said that it will be eliminated tomorrow, Xiaoruo can only believe it. Xiaoruo had no choice but to take out the thermos cup from the space and pass it to Chun. Come on, take a sip of hot water, Miss Chun, take a good rest. Chun was a little puzzled. She didn't understand why she had to drink hot water, but she still took it, and took a small sip. With all her strength now, she could only take a sip of hot water. After drinking the hot water, Chun sure enough, it was much more comfortable. Why did you come to save me just now? Chun asked, turning his head to the side, his eyes wandering to other places. She seemed to think again. Just now Xiaoruo descended from the sky, and then fell in front of her. That scene was almost engraved in Chun's brain, although the danger has been lifted, but she still wants to know Xiaoruo's thoughts of saving her just now. Just now? Xiaoruo paused. I thought you were going to die just now, so I rushed up to save you. Yeah. Did you come to save me because I was going to die? After hearing this answer, Chun stopped talking, and before he knew it, the sky had already darkened, and the sun was about to set. The wind on the top of the mountain became a bit stronger, and the body of the human face fruit tree was burning with a raging fire, and some unpleasant smell of smoke slowly spread here. Chun ran out of hot water in his hand, and Xiaoruo planned to boil some more hot water, but when Xiaoruo got up, Chun stopped him with a sound. Don't go. Okay, Xiaoruo stopped immediately after hearing Chun's voice. Body, can you let me lean on you? I'm a little cold, Tsubaki said softly with her head tilted. Her tone was a little softer than the usual strong Tsubaki. Xiaoruo took a look. Chun had been leaning on the cold stone wall just now, and the wind on the top of the mountain was a bit strong. He didn't speak, just nodded lightly. Xiaoruo sat on the ground, and Chun just like that, leaning her whole body on Xiaoruo's chest. At the same time Xiaoruo took out a blanket and gently covered Chun's body. The current scene is almost like Xiaoruo hugging Chun. The two of them are so quiet, watching the human face fruit tree in the distance burn little by little, and listening to the bursting sound of the flame burning from time to time. Leaning so close, feeling the temperature of Chun's body in his arms, Xiaoruo's heart also jumped. Chun's smooth black hair was in front of his eyes, and at the same time, he also smelled a charming fragrance. The smell on you, it smells so good. Tsubaki responded softly. I use the perfume you gave me. Oh. How do you like it? Like. As long as you like it. Not far from the bottom of the mountain, Kikyo and her younger sister Feng walked for a day, and finally came to the place where the monster was. The evil energy on the top of the mountain has disappeared. Feeling the disappearance of the evil spirit, Kikyo shook her head. It seemed that she was late. Did Tsubaki do it? Sister, why don't we leave? Feng looked at his sister and asked strangely. We came late, there is no need to go again. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 75. Above the cliff. Achoo. Chun leaned on Xiaoruo's body and suddenly sneezed. What's the matter, have you caught a cold? Xiaoruo asked worriedly, and at the same time looked at the blanket on Chun's body to see if it wasn't covered properly. "No, I don't know why I sneeze out of nowhere, maybe someone is speaking ill of me behind my back," Tsubaki said, rubbing her nose with her small hands. "Nonsense, how could someone speak ill of Ms. Chun behind her back?" Syaruo stretched out her hand, touched her forehead, and then placed it on Chun's forehead. "Let me see if Miss Chun has a fever." Chun just didn't move quietly, watching Syaruo measure her body temperature. "Miss Chun, your forehead is really hot. It seems that you really have a fever. You must have caught a cold just lying on the stone wall." "I'll go get some antipyretics," Syaruo said in a worried tone. "No, just let me lean on it like this, and take the medicine later." Just as Chun was leaning against Syaruo, and the two were watching the burning human face fruit tree on the top of the mountain, feeling the peace after the battle, an ominous voice suddenly came from afar. "Croak, croak, croak." Small black dots slowly appeared in the distance, and at the last moment before the sun set, a new monster appeared. Overwhelming corpse dance crows flew over. There were about 1,000 of them. These crows are a very common flying monster. They like to devour human beings, and at the same time they will drill into human corpses to control human beings. Seeing so many corpse dancing crows, Syaruo's original relaxed expression slowly disappeared, and he felt Chun getting closer to him, sticking tightly to his body. Tsubaki is at her weakest at this time. Why are there so many corpse dancing crows? Is it because of the fire on the top of the mountain? It's not like this. It's not normal that there are so many corpse dancing crows. There must be something important, or they are targeting the fruit of the human face fruit tree, and some corpse dancing crows found the fruit, so all clans out to compete for fruit trees. It's a little troublesome. Tsubaki still has no strength in his body now, and he has no good way to deal with this kind of flying monster. Once he is entangled by so many corpse dancing crows, he might die. Could it be that Tsubaki can only be brought back to modern times? "Are you afraid?" Chun suddenly raised his head and looked at Syaruo. "It's okay, I won't let anything happen to you," Syaruo smiled gently at Chun, signaling her not to worry. "Yeah," Tsubaki nodded. After fighting the human mask fruit tree, the relationship between Syaruo and Chun obviously changed. However, just as the corpse dancing crows were about to fly close, an arrow shot from nowhere flew to the center of the crows like a shooting star. With a mysterious light, the ordinary-looking arrow exploded among the crowd of crows and monsters. Time seems to freeze at this moment. The dazzling light brightened the evening sky, and the light from the huge spiritual power made it difficult to look directly at it. In just a moment, nearly 1,000 corpse dancing crows were crushed into powder by the terrifying demon-breaking power. Dissipated in the air. Not even a scream came out. With one arrow, thousands of monsters were wiped out. The arrow of destroying demons. It's Kikyo, and that woman is also nearby. When Chun saw this scene, her eyes widened slightly. Subconsciously, she felt a little upset, but relying on Syaruo, she suddenly couldn't remember why she was upset. Feeling dizzy after the injury? It's very beautiful. The arrow just now was like a firework, Syaruo said as she watched the demon-breaking arrow disappear. Chun's brain didn't turn the corner. She always felt that she and Syaruo's way of thinking was a little different. Was the powerful magic-breaking power just now just beautiful in his eyes? It's like seeing the moon every day. He can say that the moon is beautiful. But if you think about it this way. After thinking for a while, Tsubaki nodded in agreement. Well, in fact, the power of breaking demons is just a little bit better. That stupid woman, Kikyo, why didn't she shoot 2 more arrows? The demon-breaking arrow that suddenly appeared turned into a firework in the eyes of Syaruo and Chun, and they even disliked that there was only one. Achoo! Pulling back his bow in the distance, Kikyo, who was about to leave, suddenly sneezed. "Sister, do you have a cold?" Feng asked with some concern. Fine. Chun really caught a cold, and then passed out. Body temperature is high. The top of the mountain at night is really too cold, and it smells like smoke from the dryad burning. Even if she sleeps in a tent, Xiaoruo is worried that Chun will catch a cold, which will aggravate her condition. Enchantment. There is no enchantment, and it is not very safe in the wild. It is not easy to deal with monsters or wild beasts sneaking at night. After thinking for a long time, Xiaoruo took Chun back to her room, put Chun on the bed, and planned to let her rest in her room for a night. Arriving in a new place, although Chun's head had a fever and her body was powerless, she still woke up and looked at the strange environment around her. She suddenly found that Xiaoruo had brought her into a strange environment. Where is this place? The room is not big, but the decoration of the room makes Tsubaki feel novel. You still have a fever, take a good rest, this is my home, it's safe, Xiaoruo said, and slowly walked over with a cup of hot water and 2 pills. This is anti-fever medicine. You did have a fever just now. After taking this medicine, you will be fine soon. Here. Although Chun had a lot of questions in her head, she still believed in Xiaoruo. She took the medicine without asking, and took it with hot water. Lie down, Xiaoruo helped Chun lay on the bed, and then covered her with a quilt. You can sleep here tonight, we will go back tomorrow. Good. Chun is surprisingly obedient today, she will listen to whatever Xiaoruo says. It happened to be 8 or 9 o'clock in the real world. Xiaoruo didn't bother her family, so she stayed in the room and stayed with Chun quietly. But after all, it was not the usual sleep time. Only a small desk lamp was turned on. Tom was also locked in the room by Xiaoruo. In order to appease him, Xiaoruo gave Tom his mobile phone to play, and then Tom picked up Xiaoruo's mobile phone and started a certain 5v5 battle game. What are you doing? Chun suddenly came to Xiaoruo's house, using Xiaoruo's bed and quilt, feeling Xiaoruo's smell. Even if she had a fever, Chun couldn't sleep, so she looked at Xiaoruo who was sitting in front of the desk and asked. Write homework. What is homework? It's the task issued by the teacher, in terms of learning. Chun tilted his head like this, his eyes could just see the direction where Xiaoruo was. Xiaoruo happened to be free to make up homework, but he could always feel a feeling of being stared at. Miss Chun, go to bed quickly, I can't write because you are staring at me all the time. If you can't write it, it only means that you are not concentrating. As long as you concentrate, you will naturally not be disturbed by external factors, Tsubaki replied solemnly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 76. About an hour later, Xiaoruo was a little tired from doing her homework, and couldn't help twisting her neck. When she looked back, she found that Chun had fallen asleep. I finally fell asleep, yes, I was tired all day, injured, and had a fever. Xiaoruo looked at it, and now the system has been updated with a new animation, and the human-faced fruit tree chapter has also been completed. Putting on the earphones, Xiaoruo fast-forwarded and looked at it. The rhythm is very good, and the BGM is also very good. They are all BGM in the Inuyasha animation, and the overall look and feel is still good. The only problem is that when he jumped off Tom's broom, his combat power increased, and he was suddenly able to defeat the fruit tree for no reason. This is a serious bug that cannot be ignored if the audience sees it. After all, such things as prestige upgrades cannot be exposed. Therefore, Xiaoruo didn't intend to upload this chapter right away. Let's talk about it later when he finds a way to improve his combat power. He has already thought of a good way to fool the audience, but it just takes a little time. Looking at the watch, it was almost 10 o'clock in the evening. It was time to rest. Xiaoruo found that Tom was still playing games, so she couldn't help but walk to Tom's side. At this time, Master Tang cut straight to the middle, and an assassin hero flashed between the five. Kitty Claw made an incomprehensible operation, swish, 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 and won 4 kills, winning the game in one wave. Data 23-0-5, MVP Super God Killing. Tom really has two brushes in playing games. Xiaoruo often sees him dancing around other people's springs with blood, and sometimes typing to taunt. When this cat plays games, it is easy to reveal its nature. Tom is playing a mobile game called Canyon, which is similar to the Glory of the King in the previous life. Seeing that the game was over, Xiaoruo took the phone over. Tom, it's time to sleep. Meow. Tom nodded helplessly. Although he still wanted to play 2 more games, he still had to obey the master's orders and play in moderation every day. Xiaoruo looked at the phone, and suddenly noticed some details. Tom doesn't have an account, so he has been playing with his own account. The name of the game is Chuxia Summer. Xiaoruoxian used to play this mobile game when he was bored, but he didn't play it often, and his rank is not high. You can travel through time, and if you have something more fun, you will naturally have no time to play games. Tom usually plays games with his mobile phone. Xiaoruo doesn't care, let the cat play as long as he wants, and he won't let it delay his study. Xiaoruo's current rank on this account has already been ranked very high by Tom, but Xiaoruo just noticed that the hero Tom just used actually has a skin, and it is still a limited number of skins. You know, Xiaoruo has never bought a skin. So the question is, where did Tom's skin come from? Could it be that Tom can use his mobile phone to top up now? Impossible, Tom probably doesn't know the password, and Tom can't solve it with fingerprints. This is a big problem. Xiaoruo quickly looked at the account that she hadn't used much before, and then, Xiaoruo understood the problem. There are many friend requests in the private messages of the account, and many of them are girls with beautiful avatars. Xiaoruo also found that her account has many friends. Xiaoruo curiously opened the chat history between Tom and a person called Little Green Lemon, because Tom has always been in double row with her. Brother, are you not on the account today? You clearly agreed to take me. Don't worry baby, I have something to do today, I'll take you tonight, I love you, meow. My husband is so strong, even the highest rank in our class is not as good as my husband. That's right, I'm super powerful, meow. Does my husband like the skin I bought for him? I like meow whatever I buy baby. Husband, you haven't been online for a long time. Looking at these chat records, Xiaoruo's face turned livid. Tom actually has an online dating partner, and even tricked others into buying skins for him. The most damning thing is that they still use their own numbers. Judging from the content of the chat, the other party is still in school and is still a child. Even Xiaoruo couldn't bear to call Tom so affectionately. The time of the chat record is probably the time when King Ian came. I was busy at that time, and my mind was all on entertaining King Ian girls. I kept arranging travel activities, so I didn't care about Tom. Tom was fine at home at that time. At that time, I was able to learn Chinese almost as well. Although Xiaoruo carried the mobile phone with her at the time, Xiaoruo remembered that Tom seemed to be holding the tablet, which should be used to register her account. Xiaomeng recently borrowed his tablet, which exposed this scumbag, and because he has been going to Inuyasha's world, he hasn't chatted much with that girl recently. Out of anger, Xiaoruo grabbed Tom by the neck and lifted Tom up from the ground. Because Chun was still sleeping, Xiaoruo deliberately lowered her voice. You scumbag cat is going to become a genius. You have started attacking little girls. Meow meow. Tom waved his paws, as if he wanted to justify himself, then he took the mobile phone Xiaoruo handed him, typing frantically with his kitten paws. What, you said that she bought the skin for you voluntarily, and she chased you on her own initiative, and then you agreed. Meow meow. Tom nodded quickly, acting very well behaved, and quickly started typing again. Meow meow. You said you took her to the top, and she bought you skins, so you didn't prostitute for nothing? Tom nodded wildly. Scumbag, you're still quibbling. I didn't care about the cat picture you downloaded on the computer last time. After all, you are an adult cat and you also have needs, but this time you cheat other people's feelings. This matter must be given to you. A lesson. From now on, games are prohibited, and canned cat food is prohibited. Meow. Tom let out a groan. This kind of thing can't be used to Tom, but Sioruo felt that it was useless to beat Tom, so he could only cut off his future game ideas. The CP in the place is a cat. This girl is too pitiful. However, CP in the game is unreliable in the first place, and most of them die at the sight of light. During the time in the Inuyasha world, the girl sent less and less messages to Tom, and it probably won't take long for her husband on the internet to be forgotten. Sioruo deleted the girl's friend on the phone. In the room not far from Sioruo's room, Xiaomeng was lying on the bed playing with her mobile phone, checking Weibo to see if the idol she followed had posted any new updates. At this moment, Xiaomeng's mobile phone rang. It was a text message sent to her by her classmates and girlfriends. Meng Meng, I'm broken in love. What's wrong? I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 77. Tom was reprimanded by Sioruo, promising not to make mistakes in the future, and Sioruo let him go. Sioruo felt that she also had a problem, and she didn't take care of it after bringing Tom here. It seemed that Tom's education would be strengthened in the future. Late at night. When it's time to sleep, Sioruo should also rest. His bed was sleeping. Although the bed was big enough, it was impossible for Sioruo to climb up, so he could only take out a sleeping bag from the space, and just slept on the floor beside the bed. Sioruo moved cautiously, for fear of disturbing Tsubaki. Overnight. Early the next morning, Sioruo woke up and found Chun was still sleeping when she lay down. Sioruo put on her clothes and went to the bed, took a look, and found that Chun's face was much better at this time, not as pale as last night. However, as if realizing that he was being stared at, Chun suddenly opened his eyes wide, looking at Sioruo who was standing next to him. Chun, who just woke up, was completely different from last night. His face was still the same, expressionless as usual. The look on her face, as if the one leaning against Sioruo last night didn't look like her at all. Chun suddenly woke up and startled Sioruo. Miss Chun, you are awake. As soon as Chun woke up and saw Sioruo, he looked away unconsciously, as if he didn't dare to look at Sioruo, but just hummed, and stopped talking, as if there was something different after yesterday. Chun slept very peacefully last night, and she knew that someone would be by her side. This feeling was different from when she was alone. Chun sat up and took a deep breath. She didn't know what to say at this time. Since she didn't know what to say, she didn't say anything. Silence is better. Is Miss Chun's injury better? Sioruo asked worriedly. Although it seemed that there was nothing wrong, he still asked. My injuries have all healed, and the demon poison has been removed by my spiritual power. Now there is no problem. Chun, clenching his fist, feeling the recovery of his body, replied. That's good. I was really worried yesterday. Worry, I see. We can go. Do you want to stay and say goodbye to your family? Chun looked at Sioruo and asked. Forget it. Sioruo rubbed his chin. No one knew he came back this time, and he hadn't opened the door. Besides, he had only been away for a few days, so it was useless to go out to say hello, but he sent text messages to his parents' reported safety. Let's go. Good. Sioruo brought Tsubaki and Tom back to the world of Inuyasha, and embarked on a journey of cloud travel again. During the period, Syaruo also explained to Tsubaki, that is, about her own origin, which came from 500 years later. Tsubaki also accepted this matter. The two appeared on the top of the mountain again, and Tsubaki summoned the flying Shikigami and took Syaruo down. But Tsubaki suddenly turned to look at Tom. By the way, the cat demon you brought can actually fly on a stick. This is the first time I have seen such a special monster. It has no demon power and can't fly by itself, but it can fly by riding an ordinary stick. Ahem, Tom is indeed special, he knows a lot, Syaruo said vaguely. Well, it's very special, Tsubaki nodded. By the way, I hope Miss Chun can do me a little favor. Syaruo suddenly turned her head and said to Chun. Help you with what? Tsubaki wondered. The journey is the same as usual, walking the mountain road, and then looking for an open space for barbecue and camping, but this time, Syaruo is going to let Chun cooperate with her to perform a scene to solve the problem of her sudden surge in strength and not being accepted by the audience. After all, it was really unreasonable for her own strength to suddenly become stronger. However, the method was thought up by people. Syaruo racked her brains and finally came up with a method that could almost explain her becoming stronger. Although this method is a bit shameless. The order of the animations is arranged by myself. In this case, as long as I make up a reasonable explanation for my strength becoming stronger, and then insert it in front of the human-faced fruit tree chapter, it will be fine. In fact, Syaruo's purpose is to design the script. Since the system can record the interaction between himself and the characters in the second dimension to make animations, then he can also design the script and control the plot. The premise is that someone has to cooperate with him in the performance. Syaruo told Chun what she was going to do. Although Chun was puzzled, she still agreed. It was actually a very simple thing. It was something Syaruo asked herself to do. Chun felt a little strange. The relationship between Chun and herself is already so good. If Xia asked Chun for a small favor, Chun naturally did not refuse. However, Tsubaki couldn't help asking at the end, did you hurt your head in the last fight? No. The script begins. Noon. Syaruo and Chun were resting by the river, and when Chun was gathering firewood and preparing to make a fire, very coincidentally a small bead fell from Chun's body. It was a bead that looked like a stone or jade. It looked ordinary. If it was a small stone randomly found in a pile of stones, no one would doubt it. Syaruo also just in time saw this little bead, and bent down to pick it up. Miss Chun, you dropped something. Oh, that's a trophy I got after defeating a monster. I haven't found a way to use it, and it's useless. If you like it, you can take it, Chun said, looking very indifferent, with a face expressionless, true colors. Then thank you Miss Chun. Syaruo hid her joy and put the beads in her pocket. Inner drama, my perception is very keen, and my intuition tells me that this is a very precious treasure. It may be useless to others, but this item is very important to me. It must be a buried treasure. I got it so easily. As with normal animation, the system also adds some key vibes. He has seen the routine prepared by Syaruo many times in fantasy novels, that is, the protagonist picks up the buried treasure. There is no such cool routine in ordinary animations. The domestic fantasy cool routines may be used in the second dimension. Will also work. The audience still likes the protagonist's strength becoming stronger, after all, it's refreshing. After that, Chun had no role to play, it was all Syaruo's personal drama. The fantasy novels I read in my previous life came in handy. Syaruo was surprised by all kinds of acting skills, and then talked to herself, and began to explain how powerful this bead is through talking to herself, and she realized a particularly powerful technique through this treasure, which can improve her own strength. Then there was Syaruo practicing sword wielding by the river after eating. Sword practice is also part of the script. This is the routine of the hot-blooded animation, which is the practice chapter. Generally, before the battle, the protagonist will have a practice scene, and quickly improve his strength through practice. Naturally, Syaruo will not practice in one place, but practice in different places, such as riverside, woods, rocks, and lawns. The system will make a video, which can be edited. Syaruo will practice on her own, edit the sword scene a little bit, a PPT clip of a day's sword practice. It's just a few days of practice, and then I can render that I have actually practiced for several months. 3 days later. When Syaruo and Chun were grilling fish, Syaruo suddenly put down the grilled fish, picked up the long knife on the side, and held it in his hand with emotion on his face. 3 months have passed, Miss Tsubaki. Tsubaki. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 78. Traveling all the way, the monsters that Tsubaki was looking for still couldn't find a trace, so he could only follow the plan and deal with some dangerous monsters encountered along the way. Otherwise it is camping, barbecue, singing and watching the moon. Generally speaking, after experiencing the human face fruit tree incident, nothing major happened, and the journey was fairly easy. Syaruo still goes home once a week to report to her family that she is safe, and upload the latest animation of PNIGen by the way. Due to the change of the playing order, Syaruo got the golden finger immediately after the story of the mist demon in Pujari, and then practiced swordsmanship for 3 months, and finally Syaruo and Chun fought against the fruit tree with human face. There are about 4 episodes of human face fruit tree. And this plot also has 4 small climaxes. One is Syaruo's supplementary plot, he gets the golden finger practice plot. This kind of plot is very popular in the blood manga, because the protagonist's strength becomes stronger. The audience will pay attention to the following. I am looking forward to the plot, and I also want to see how the protagonist will show his talents and show the results of his practice. The second point is Tom. Tom recovered the power of magic flying under the cliff to show his skills. Tom riding a broom and taking Syaruo flying is also a climax. After all, this is an interaction that crosses the dimensional wall, and funny anime characters show their talents in the world of monster animation. The interaction of different dimensions is what the audience likes to watch. The plot develops until Syaruo returns to the real world, and then finds a broom for Tom. When Tom takes the broom and flies, the barrage on the display screen directly blows up the screen. One can imagine how popular Tom is. You can know that Tom's popularity is definitely the highest without statistics. He exists like a mascot. Seeing Tom's outstanding performance, the score bullet screen clicks and clicks to increase. The third climax is when Chun faces the monster and overturns the car, and then Syaruo goes out to save the beauty as a hero, showing the results of her practice. Although it is very similar to the routines of other hot-blooded animations, there is nothing new, but the audience still likes this routine, especially the part where Syaruo's swordsmanship breaks through the vine blockade. The BGM and battle scenes are very good, barely passing the pass. The fourth climax is the appearance of Kikyo, the most anticipated character in the animation Kikyo. 7 or 8 episodes of the animation have been released, but the protagonist Kikyo in the name of the animation has always been a mystery. The audience has always been able to get information about Kikyo from passers-by and Tsubaki. It can be inferred that Kikyo is a very powerful witch, and the rest is unknown, but the more the animation is like this, the more the audience looks forward to the appearance of Kikyo. This time in the human face fruit tree chapter, the mysterious Platycodon finally appeared. The scene system of Kikyo's appearance also gave a few shots. Although there were not many, the image of the holy and cold shrine maiden was immediately established in front of the audience. In particular, Kikyo's demon-breaking arrow, which clears thousands of monsters with one arrow, made the audience understand how powerful this witch is. Kikyo's domineering appearance immediately satisfied the audience's expectations for Kikyo. There are indeed a lot of discussions in the barrage and comment areas, and Kikyo has gained a lot of fans. After this episode, Tsubaki's popularity is almost overtaken. Some people suspect that Kikyo is actually the heroine, Chun is actually a transitional heroine, maybe she will sacrifice herself to die in the future, and then Syaruo and Kikyo are together. This inference has been supported by many people. Syaruo just smiled after seeing this kind of comment. This kind of discussion is a good phenomenon. If there is a fight, there will be heat, which is more conducive to gaining prestige. Syaruo was very satisfied with seeing the popularity of the animation Pujari rising steadily, but after the man-faced fruit tree chapter, it entered the daily plot again, and the popularity growth gradually dropped. In this case, we can proceed to the next step. Syaruo silently took out the original animation of Inuyasha and uploaded it. The animation Pankaikodon is almost popular, it has provided Syaruo with a lot of prestige, and the world view has also been established, but this animation still has a lot of potential that has not been tapped. But if you want to increase the popularity again, there are only other ways besides supernatural plot play. It is a very good idea to release an animation Inuyasha with the same worldview but an excellent plot. Inuyasha itself is an extremely high-quality animation. The plot and content are much better than the Kankyo that I messed up. The content of Kankyo is actually quite monotonous. Yokai are always in the water, and Inuyasha is a real plot animation with the main line of finding the Jade of the Four Souls. The two animations combine with each other and complement each other, maybe even more famous than in the previous life. After Inuyasha was uploaded, Syaruo waited for a while, and then watched the comments and barrage slowly increase. In the middle, Syaruo went to eat a meal, and the barrage had been raised when she came back. Open the animation, and above it is an overwhelming barrage. Rising new animation, support. I'm too tired to wait for the update of Kikyo. To watch the new animation, I wonder if it can be updated twice a day. The update of Kikyo is too slow. Inuyasha, the name is so strange, does it have any special meaning? The animation rhythm of Inuyasha is very fast, and there is no time for the audience to post meaningless bullet screens. At the beginning of the plot, a group of villagers shouted Inuyasha's name, and then chased and killed Inuyasha with various weapons, but Inuyasha completely ignored the plot, abandoned those villagers, went straight to the place where the Jade of the Four Souls was enshrined, and snatched the Jade of the Four Souls. Looking at Inuyasha's figure, the barrage increased again. Wow, so handsome, is this the protagonist? That's right, the name of the animation is Inuyasha, and the villagers also called him Inuyasha just now. This man with dog ears should be the protagonist. That's great, showing us the protagonist from the very beginning. It's a completely different treatment from the animation of Kikyo. The protagonist doesn't look like a good person. He's robbing something. What is the Jade of the Four Souls for? It feels like a very important treasure. There is not a lot of time to send these attention to Inuyasha barrage to the audience, because the next moment, the familiar figure that the audience has been dreaming of in another animation appears. A beautiful priestess wearing an orthodox red and white priestess costume, holding a bow and arrow in her hand, aimed at the monster who had just stolen the Jade of the Four Souls. Kikyo appeared. Inuyasha. Accompanied by this sound, Kikyo shot out an arrow, and Inuyasha was nailed to the god tree by an arrow. Tianjin. After Inuyasha was nailed to the god tree, he just called Kikyo's name in a low voice and then lost consciousness. At this time, there is a piece of on the barrage. Did someone go to the wrong set? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I can break the dimensional wall. Author, Zhou Jumiao. Chapter 79. The audience had seen Kikyo in the latest episode of Pankaikodon, and naturally recognized that the archery priestess was the one they had been looking forward to appearing. Why didn't I see Kikyo in the animation Kankyo? but I saw it in the first episode of the new animation Inuyasha. What kind of operation is this? Sister Kikyo, you went to the wrong set. It's scary. The characters in the Rising animation are indeed able to interpenetrate, and they may have the same worldview. Is it so powerful? The two animations actually have the same worldview, and no one can do this kind of operation. Maybe it will be a dual view animation. It's so interesting. It's worthy of Rising. It can really make a living. So, Kikyo can't appear in the main story of Pikalifer. Do you want to tell the life of Kikyo from another perspective of the outside story? I'm sick, can't I tell it directly in the main story? Maybe it's a wrong name. That animation should be called Tsubaki, and this one is called Kankyo. Hey, did anyone notice? The protagonist named Inuyasha seems to have been shot to death by Kikyo. Wow, I'm shocked. When the audience's barrage was in full swing, the plot reversed again. Inuyasha was not shot to death by Kikyo, but was sealed on the sacred tree by Kikyo, and Kikyo was too seriously injured to save him. Up. In the end, Kikyo died under the bewildered eyes of the audience. It was cremated together with the Jade of the Four Souls. What's the situation? Kikyo just died like this. What's the beginning? One was sealed and the other died. How do we tell this story? I really want to know, what is the linkage between the story of Inuyasha and Kikyo? It doesn't feel like the relationship between the first season and the second season. I didn't expect there to be such a similar worldview. It's so amazing, I'm chasing after it. I just want to know if Miss Tsubaki and Syaruo can be seen in Inuyasha. If there is, it must be very interesting to link up. But Kikyo is dead. It seems to be the story after the animation of Kikyo. There is a large blank plot in the middle. Something must have happened. It feels very suspenseful. The barrage is looking forward to the following plot. However, Syaruo of Inuyasha only uploaded 2 episodes. After Kikyo died, the modern plot 500 years later followed. Kikyo's reincarnation, Kagome, was born in a shrine, grew up slowly, went to high school, and then because of the centipede witch, she traveled to 500 years ago through the well of Bone Eater. It is also the era 50 years after Inuyasha was sealed. The story of Inuyasha has officially begun. And the audience also knew that this animation was actually a time travel drama. When they saw this plot, question marks filled the screen. Syaruo didn't care about the evaluation of Inuyasha. After all, the quality of Inuyasha is reassuring, and when the two animated characters interact together, it will definitely cause a huge impact. It's like Magic Ban and Super Electromagnetic Gun. Put aside the matter of Inuyasha first, when in the real world, another incident related to Syaruo happened recently. That is, the enrollment expansion of Rising Animation has been completed. Recently, Rising Company has completed the expansion of its enrollment, and has also started cooperation with Mengjian to establish an animation studio with sufficient staff and funds. Because of the good sales of peripherals and broadcasting rights of King Ian and Cat and Mouse not lacking, Xiaogenzi suddenly became motivated again. It is impossible for all the employees in the company to be idle. He clearly said that he was going to make a remake of the story of Yankin, but in the process of making the remake, he still wanted to make a new animation to practice his hands. The last failure taught Xiaogenzi that he chose the wrong theme. In fact, the football elite he produced at that time was released on Mengjian, and the score was not bad. Except, this time, Xiaogenzi is going to catch up with hotspots. Competitive games are very popular recently, and he wants to make animations with game-related themes. After Syaruo heard the news from her mother, her eyes lit up. This is a good opportunity to prove herself. He took the initiative to go to the Rising Company and asked his father himself. When he learned that his father was going to make game-themed animations, Syaruo directly patted his chest and promised. I'm really familiar with game-themed animations, and I have a lot of good stories in my mind. This time I'll write the script, absolutely no problem. Looking at his father's suspicious gaze, Syaruo turned his head in embarrassment, but this time he was really going to show his whole card. He didn't believe it, so he took out the cards of Sword Art Online and Full-Time Master Scripts Can Fail. There is one more thing, that Syaruo recruited Naoko Yamada, the talented animation female supervisor. She has been here for 3 days. If her father hadn't told Syaruo, Syaruo would not have known about it. After all, I sent an email to recruit at that time, so Syaruo was still going to meet her, and I had some relationship with the light tone girls she made. In the company, Syaruo saw Shangzi Yamada. She is a very ordinary looking woman. Maybe Syaruo has seen too many beauties recently. Syaruo thinks that she is not a very beautiful beauty, but she is not ugly. If I have to say, she should be more attractive. And it was obvious that she had put on makeup, wearing a black professional uniform short skirt. She looked very serious, but her face looked a little haggard, and she seemed to be in a bad state of mind. Naoko Yamada was a little embarrassed when she saw Syaruo. She didn't know where to put her hands, and she had an embarrassed smile on her face. She didn't know until she came that it was the boss's son who sent an email to recruit him. She couldn't help but be embarrassed. After all, the boss's son was young and scary, and he didn't look like he had graduated from high school. It was hard to imagine that it was the person who fooled himself in the email and said, "The future of animation is in our hands." Moreover, Shangzi Yamada looked at Syaruo with a hint of curiosity. She has no choice but to be curious. She is a practitioner in the animation industry, so she naturally knows about the recently released animation Piankaikadon, and the protagonist in the animation Piankaikadon is Syaruo. Naoko Yamada looked at Syaruo. Sure enough, it was too similar to the character in the animation. This kind of courage to design himself as a prototype in the animation, and not be afraid of failure and turn into a bad movie, Yamada Naoko still admired it. Of course, it may also be envy the rich. Naoko Yamada's Chinese is not bad, and she can talk to Syaruo normally. Of course, Syaruo can also speak Japanese. The two casually chatted about the development direction of animation and work matters. At this time, Syaruo also knew that Naoko Yamada was really arranged by his father to make a remake of the story of Yankin. I Can Break the Dimensional Wall. Author, Zhou Zhijumiao. Chapter 80. Didn't talk much, just had a brief chat. Syaruo felt that with a talented supervisor like Yamada Naoko, maybe dad could really turn around. His main focus is still on the game animation script written for his father. As soon as she got home, Syaruo began to recall some of the more famous game animations in her previous life. Because this time, when Syaruo was communicating with her father, she received another task issued by the system. Mission: assist Xiaogenzi to complete a game-like animation script, and rewards will be given out depending on the popularity of the animation score. Seeing this task, Syaruo was stunned for a moment. This time the task was unexpectedly ordinary, but the system didn't say whether the score was high or not. But literally, there should be no pitfalls. Syaruo didn't care about this task, but began to recall the animation plots she watched in her previous life, and began to write the script. There are quite a lot of game animations he can think of, and there are quite a few famous ones, but Syaruo still has no confidence. The problem is still that he gave the script, but after the animation is produced, due to various factors, the final product is absolutely the same as the previous life. The animation is completely different. For example, this time, Syaruo intends to write the script of Full-Time Master. Full-Time Master was a popular domestic animation in the previous life, with many fans, and there is a high probability that it will not fail after production. The content is probably in the online game Glory, Yeshiu, a top player known as a textbook level, was expelled by the club for various reasons after leaving the professional circle. He was taken in by Chenguo, the proprietress of Xingxin Internet Cafe, and became a network administrator on night shift. Yexiu, who has 10 years of gaming experience, does not intend to give up his beloved glory. Yexiu restarts the ID account Jun Moxio, holding an unfinished self-made weapon, the Thousand Chance Umbrella, in the newly opened 10th place of glory. District returned to the game and started his plan to return to the top. But Xiaoruo didn't have much confidence in the success of Full-Time Master. After all, there is no original novel in this world, and there is a large fan base missing, and the production team is also different. God knows what is produced according to her own script. And even with Yamada Naoko, her best direction is not this type. Whether it will be successful or not is really unknown. At this time, by coincidence, Xiaoruo suddenly saw a piece of news in the computer game forum. The open beta of the MOBA competitive online game League of Legends will start in 3 weeks. Wait a minute, League of Legends. League of Legends, Xiaoruo almost forgot this. In the previous life, Xiaoruo liked to play League of Legends, and it happens that this world also has it. He heard that League of Legends had an internal beta last year, and Xiaoruo made an account to play it. Is a game developed by a domestic game company called Fingers, but the gameplay introduction and the heroes in it are 80–90% similar to Xiaoruo's impression. This game is definitely going to be popular in the future, but the public beta has only started now. When she saw the news, a good idea suddenly popped into Xiaoruo's head. League of Legends will be popular all over the world in the future. There were 800 million registered users in the previous life. Now that this game has not become popular, let Rise and them have a wave of cooperative animations. Use this wave of popularity, and the players of the game will become popular at that time. Potential audience. Xiaoruo couldn't be better at such things as rubbing heat. And maybe because of the drive of the game, this animation may become a phenomenon-level animation that is popular all over the world, and there is hope that it will surpass the classic Japanese manga. Even Xiaoruo was a little surprised that he could think of such a notice. Has it really become his instinct to be popular? As for the plot of the League of Legends animation, there was no official animation of the League of Legends in the previous life. There were only some game CGs, and there was no clear plot. Xiaoruo had never read the official background novel of the League of Legends. However, if it is to make League of Legends animations, Xiaoruo really has a good idea. After opening the document, Xiaoruo typed in the document, and soon, a specific outline of the animation appeared in the document. It was a super passionate, tragic storyline. When Xiaoruo was typing, she paused from time to time. I designed such a plot. If it is really produced, it will not be sprayed, probably not, maybe they will like such a plot. Xiaoruo is going to use the memories of her previous life to give the League of Legends players in this world a big job. Write a story about an esports team. The content of the story is the League of Legends event, the competition between the teams, from S2 to S9, how the LPL division was defeated by the Korean team, won the championship by the Korean team for 5 years, failed again and again in despair, and finally won the inspirational story of the championship. The main line is to use some well-known League of Legends players as the protagonists, such as Uzi, Promise, God, and then introduce the divisions. Every year, a team will be changed as the protagonist, telling about the grievances and hatreds of teams such as We, IG, EDG, and RNG. If Xiaoruo has been watching the game, he naturally knows a lot of the stocks of the game, and the writing is actually quite fluent. There are too many classics in the game, whether it is the game or some offline fun. The only flaw is that the League of Legends esports history is a bit miserable, and it is too cruel in terms of animation. The protagonists rotate. IG in S2, We in S3, Royal Family in S3, OMG in S4, EDG and LGD in S5, Keep changing protagonists and teams in this way, gradually perfecting an esports worldview, domestic competitions first, and finally the winner is determined, entering the World Championship. The villain is even better, South Korea's Triple Crown champion SKT, as well as SKT's Demon King Faker, and there are many powerful Korean professional players. The main plot is also very clear, similar to the Youthful Blood plot. It is probably the type of animation in Japanese manga with dominate the country as the main line, but the sports in it are replaced by esports. The protagonists worked hard one by one, led the team to win the championship from the LPL battle, and then won the tickets to the World Championship and then every year was the most promising year, and every year the top 8 were sent back to China. Failed again and again, disappointed again and again. S7 was the most promising year for LPL again, and then they were sent away by the semi-finals, and the South Korean team had a civil war in the bird's nest. In the end, S8IG won the championship, and S9FPX won consecutive championships. Syaruo glanced at the script she wrote, feeling a little embarrassed. If this is produced, it will definitely be sprayed to death. It will definitely be sprayed to death by then. Although what he wrote seemed passionate, Syaruo could guess how the audience felt. Everyone felt that the end of the animation would definitely be like an ordinary animation. The main character's team exploded in the end, and the weak defeated the strong. When they could win the World Championship, they were defeated by the devil and won the runner-up. In the second year, I started again and changed the protagonist, and when the audience thought that they would definitely win the championship this year, they went home with the top 8. In the third year, it was super strong, won a mid-season championship, swelled to the sky, and when it started to choose the champion skin, it won a top 8 and a top 16. Continue to the quarter-finals in the fourth year. In the fifth year, I was defeated at home, and both went home, and the South Korean team played against the South Korean team in the final. This kind of thing can happen in reality, and the animation absolutely dare not write like this. After hesitating for a long time, the next day, Syaruo sent the script to her dad by computer. Whether it was accepted or not was up to her dad. After about an afternoon, Syaruo got a reply. Feasible. However, Naoko Yamada made a suggestion that not only men play games, some characters can be replaced by women. For example, the role of SKT's Demon King Faker can be replaced by a cute girl with black long straight glasses, and some other characters can be designed as a woman. Naoko Yamada said she could take charge. Syaruo. PS1, 20,000 recommendation votes. Thank you. The League of Legends animation is just my idea. The space will not be too much, it is just a small episode of the real world. The next world has been determined. It is a world with a very distinctive worldview. You can guess it in the chapter review. I will give a general range. 1. It is not a modern world. 2. The worldview is peculiar and stalked. 3. It is not a battle class animation. PS2, push the book Life of a Japanese Zone Store Manager.